Boom, boom, boom. We're here, guys. We're here. I checked out some of these old periscopes a little bit ago because I wanted to make sure, what kind of wines am I covering? Wanted to make sure that I wasn't doing anything off. And I realized it was like going through each of them, and each one it was like, "We're here, guys. We're here. We're here. We're here." It's like every single one. I have like a automatic intro for this stuff. Auto intro. So, I gotta figure that. Maybe I gotta just trademark it. I gotta trademark my intro. Um, anyway, the wine for today. So I forgot to post pictures. I'm not a Instagram foodie. I messed up, guys. I forgot to post pictures. But on Tuesday, I had my best friend. He's kind of like my brother, really, over, and I made for him and his fiancée. I made for them coco vin jaune. Coco vin jaune is a traditional dish from the Jura. Now, I know I brought on a Jura wine here before, but Jura is really interesting. Just a quick recap. It's a very marginal region internationally. It's probably one of the two regions of France that produce special wine that doesn't get any export, very minimal export. And so Jura is sort of like the Jura Mountains are a mountain, like kind of like a mountain range north of the Alps. So they're kind of like sub-Alps, like hilly terrain. And they're on the eastern end of what was this big inland sea. The western end is Burgundy. So the wine is very similar to Burgundy, but it's a little bit, in the sense that they're both light and more delicate. Both have limestone, similar climate. Shiraz not as prestigious as Burgundy, and that's deserved to not be as prestigious. But the varietals, the two main varietals in Burgundy, Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, are also two of the main varieties in Jura. But they're not the only varieties. And so this is where Jura is interesting, because you have Pinot, you have Chardonnay, but you also have three other varietals. One of them is Trousseau, and it's kind of like a medium-bodied red wine. It's got a little bit of a funkiness to it. It's hard to describe, but I guess you could say that it shows more similarly to Pinot, but it's a little less of the flavors you're used to getting. And then you have Savagnin, and Savagnin is what I use to cook the coco vin jaune. So Savagnin is like they have a thing called vin jaune. And vin jaune, which means yellow wine, and Savagnin is very, very yellow. And I'll crack it for you at some point. But this is a wine that's been aged in barrels after fermentation for a while with all this yeast in them, and it comes up very much like sherry. It's very, very similar to sherry, and so you cook the dish with this wine. And so I had like an incredible little wine tasting thing. So I had the Savagnin, which I mostly cook with to make the coco vin jaune. And then I also had a little bit of Savagnin to drink. And then we went through, we had Chardonnay. And then for the main meal, when it was time to eat, I had the Trousseau, the Pinot Noir, and I also had this wine, which is Poussard. Now, Poussard, you like me trying to do this French accent? You like me trying to show this shit off? Trying to sound like this French sommelier I knew in New York. Poussard is very interesting. There's a fly in my wine, because it's kind of like a red wine that's liminal. And by the way, don't let this label confuse you. I'd be actually very surprised if you can find this wine in the U.S. So I wouldn't. If you guys want to check, you can try. But this label sucks. But the producer Jérôme Arnaud is actually very good. He's one of the best producers in Jura. But I don't know why. The French. The French, they're not much for marketing. Everything, they're purists. It's like, so if you're going to be a purist, like, just make a classic French label that looks like good to Americans. Instead, you got to do this shitty thing. But I think he designed it himself. And so I think that's why he's got, he's very sensitive. Very sensitive. But anyway, about the wine, Poussard, it's chilled. So you traditionally will serve the wine chilled. And if you really look at this, let's start off and get the color. I mean, this is even darker than sometimes it can be. It's almost like It's almost like a really dark. It's so light skinned. The grape is so light skinned. It's almost what you would consider to be like an orange wine. It's still technically red, but it has some unique flavor profiles. So this was open 2 days ago. But it was showing well 2 days ago, and it's still showing great. Especially on the front. On the back end's a little medicinal. By the way, I do that stuff is because in order to bring out the flavor of the wine, it needs oxygen. So if you suck a little bit of oxygen in, this is why one of the reasons why you'll have some people who taste wine do all sorts of ridiculous stuff like it's like disgusting. It's disgusting to listen to. But a little bit of air is you get a lot more. There's a lot more of the oak coming out from that. So anyway, it's a great wine. I'm like I said, you are not going to be able to find this wine here. This is something I got in France. But you can get wines like it. So look for Poussard, and I would recommend some place like Domaine du Pélican, and what is the other really big one? Oh, the Tissot family. The Tissot family is like, they are the best winemaking family in all of Jura. They're the ones that kind of put it on the map. In fact, the reason that this guy, Jérôme Arnaud, is such a good producer is because he actually was the head vinifier for the Tissots for about 10 years during an intergenerational transition before he went off and started to do his own thing. So, yeah, dude, Cremant de Jura, really hidden gem. Cremant de Jura, I think is I mean, you can have Cremants are wonderful. Cremants are wines made elsewhere in France in the same style of champagne, same style, everything is the same. But the thing is, because Cremant de Bourgogne and Cremant de Jura both use Pinot Noir and Chardonnay like champagne, so they really can taste quite a bit like they can pretty much be a champagne. On one of Jérôme Arnaud's other labels, he produced Cremant de Jura, and it was just superb. So why did I get in the wine? My dad was in the wine industry. He has a knighthood from Portugal, actually, because of his contributions to the wine industry. So I grew up in a household where you were always, we had wine every night at dinner, and I was able to taste it from when I was like 13 onward. You could taste the wine as long as you could describe it, as long as you could kind of appreciate it. And so I grew up with it in my family. And it's one of the things that Dad and I got a lot closer when I was older. I got into it myself. So are you guys ready for the dating relationship periscope? You guys ready for it? You guys ready for the content? Smash that like button if you guys are ready for the dating relationship content. You guys ready for that? No one wants it. People want me to keep drinking wine. They don't want me to. All right, there we go. All right, let's dive in. Just a quick. Oh, here. This is okay. I quit saying I love you too after phone conversations. Only reserved for certain moments once or twice a week. Seems to have made the lure more attractive. Might be something you touch on in the next Q&A. Yeah, well, so this is a context guy he's married, right? Been in a marriage for a while. Spicing up the marriage. He's actually a client. Okay, full disclosure, he's a client. And things have been phenomenal. I mean, I got, client is crushing it. He deserves all the credit, right? But things did improve markedly soon after we started working together and he started to implement some of the things we talked about. So it's always about being an action taker to get the results. But so this is an interesting little development here, and he wanted me to share it on the Q&A. Happy to do so. So this is like a subtle form of dread. But and look, I'm not a purist on any of these things. I think there's always a context to every tactic. So remember the formula, okay? You have desire and comfort, right? Desire and comfort, tension, trust. If your relationship is suffering from a lack of desire, then your main thing that you want to do is increase that desire without compromising on the comfort. Because if you can't compromise on the comfort, you're going to lose the entire relationship. Same thing applies in the reverse, right? If you were in a situation where you had desire but not a lot of comfort, this would be a situation where the girl was kind of feeling, diminished in the relationship and wasn't feeling good about herself. And in these kind of situations, you'd want to give comfort, but without compromising desire. And so a lot of people, it's like they zigzag from one to another, and that's a really fast way to just eliminate a relationship. Like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You give away all this other stuff that you build up. So it's a really delicate surgery you have to conduct. And so the reason why this thing, I quit saying I love you too after phone conversations, is a really effective way to build up desire in a relationship that's had a diminishment of it, is because you're not saying that you're not like showing necessarily that you don't love her, right? You're still in phone conversations with her. You're not being cold to her. You're just pulling back a bit, right? You're just not giving her that much. Maybe you'll do it sometimes, but it's something that she just doesn't get to have all the time. You're there, you're present, you care for her, but you're not being overly expressive. You're doing, and the most important thing is you're creating space, right? Creating space between these compliments. So it puts her very unconsciously. She kind of sees, oh, he's not saying this. What does that mean? Maybe I'll just invest a little bit more, try to entice his desire. Now, ultimately, in a relationship, you never leave these dynamics, but things are pretty if we want to be honest, like, I'm simplifying. Okay, you have a desire problem, so do this. You have a comfort problem, you do this. But if we're being really honest here, I mean, relationships are complicated, and there's usually a bit of disorganization going on. So, if you very quickly, as you start to pull back like this, you're going to start to see she has some self-esteem issues that she feels diminished in the relationship. And so let's just say that that in a relationship where you're committed, who has the frame is not always a sure thing. Yeah, it might seem like she has the frame, but then you find out that she's actually has a lot of what's going on is really self-esteem issues. And so let's just say the surgery gets extra complicated. But fortunately, this is an ongoing operation. So you don't have to feel like you get everything right at once. Do you think I would have been successful without your dad? Man, that is a hell of a question. In some ways, I'm very similar to my father. In some ways, I'm very different. I mean, we had our issues, which are completely reconciled. I sound insecure. Guess you're not very good at Senator Pussy Slammer. Well, I'm gonna. No offense, right? Okay. No offense. I will make mention of my relationship with my father. I'll make mention of my relationship with my father just because, before he started to act like a dick. I think it's actually an interesting question. Would I have been successful without my father? My father is such an intelligent person. I mean, he is one of the most intelligent, brilliant people you've ever met. One of the most intelligent people you've ever met. I was always spending time, and maybe you've seen me on some other images. Yeah, I'm just gonna. I'll save the rest of the questions for the end, but I'm just gonna finish this point. It was really important to be around somebody who cared so much about learning and who was so curious. I mean, if there's one thing that characterized things growing up, is that I could always ask my dad questions, and we always had this little joke. So I'd say, like, isn't that right, Dad? Isn't that right, Dad? And, like, I'd always be asking questions and repeating things and trying to learn it. And so it just shows, like, really how important it is to have the kind of, my father could have done some things right. He was a good father. I mean, I love him, and we're so close now. But every father does the best they can, given what they've learned from their own parents. But he was probably a little bit too absent at certain points, a little bit, like, too disinterested. But the fact of the matter was, like, I would just spend time in his study with him and ask questions all the time. And it was like, growing up, it was I was always in awe of him. So, yeah, it was pretty cool. Is it normal that I talk to a woman 10 years older than me? I mean, it's more normal than it used to be, but I wouldn't recommend it necessarily as a serious dating thing. But I'm going to get back to the main thing of questions here. Okay. So actually, next one is a question from another client. So this was a situation where a client he's in a relationship, and he had been at a dance, right? He was at a dance, and might get a minor detail or two here wrong, but effectively he kind of got like pushed into dancing with this girl who may be a little bit interested in him. And so he went for a dance with her, and afterwards he felt really guilty about the entire thing. He's wondering, is this something that, is this normal? Is this good? Why is this happening? And he wanted me to share it here, right? This is like, it's kind of funny because sometimes clients will put in questions, but they usually don't. It's cool. I think it's great that they want to share some of the things that we talk about. So what's going on fundamentally in a situation like this? And just to kind of distill it out. So this is the kind of thing where, as a guy, you feel uncomfortable if another girl shows you interest when you're in a relationship, right? If you do anything with a girl that's even just innocent and platonic, that it's a bad thing. Now, where does this come from? What does it mean? Like all things, there is a line here. Like, how far are you going to go with another girl? Like, I think that the line is, are you giving her mixed signals? Are you giving her signals that you're interested in her versus like, we're going to have fun and go for a dance, and then, that's it. And like, you have a great dance together, and then you move on to somebody else, right? That you're not giving any specific signals to her. You're just simply, it's a dance, right? That's what it is. Same thing if you kind of give her a girl a compliment, or you kind of joke or tease, or even like flirt very, very playfully with somebody. There's like a line here. There's a line that you kind of have to discern. Does this person, are they getting the wrong impression? But for a lot of guys, we don't have a very good calibration of that line. And the reason is guilt. Now, where does that guilt come from? It comes from two places, okay? Two places. The first is usually a bad imprinting from a previous relationship or current relationship, where the girl will aggressively mate guard, right? The girl's very jealous, and so she would get upset if you were seen with other girl, or she has, maybe because of her own baggage, she's oversensitive about it, or maybe because you did something in the past, I don't know. But usually it's because of her own baggage. And she is basically like made you feel guilty for things that you shouldn't have felt guilty for. And so you're kind of on edge. So what happens is that then you get into a situation with a pretty girl, and even if there's no kind of ulterior motive going on, you kind of freeze up, the anxiety kicks in because you feel like you're about to get yelled at. You feel like what you're doing is wrong and you're going to get yelled at. And so there's the guilt there, and it doesn't feel good. And so that's something that needs to get cleared out, right? That needs to get cleared out. That needs to be addressed, needs to be acknowledged. And you need to allow yourself the space to just be a man who's going to be attractive, right? It's going to be attractive, and you're not going to encourage it from other people, but you're neither going to feel ashamed of it, which is the second point, right? Point number two is the shame that comes into this sort of thing. And I really want to emphasize this. A shame about going after what you want and what you need. Now, to understand here, I'm not talking about like, oh, you want that girl, so you should go after her when you're in a relationship. I don't mean it like that. But what I mean is that you're not allowed to even go and enjoy yourself and have a good time, because your needs don't matter to this girl, or this pattern of feeling guilty, right? The guilt is, the two things are connected. The guilt is connected to the need. So it's so much of it is like, I'm going to go do what I enjoy. And I understand my intentions are pure, and I'm going to go and to do this across multiple areas of your life. Like, oh, I can't do this because someone's going to get upset. It's like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm going to do it because I want to do it. I'm do it because I want to do it. If someone gets upset, they're going to get my anger. And you know what? Like, maybe I haven't expressed enough anger. So that's what I'd say. A lot of guys have this. I mean, I would like, there was even, I had some bits of it too. I had some bits of it too from the past. I had to really work through. Is there a way a guy can clarify he is being ethical in his dating life? No problem, man. It is, there's no hard line. There's no logical line for this stuff. It's an energetic and emotional calibration, and you need to practice feeling it out. I'm going to give you guys an analogy. You guys know laws, obviously. Laws are designed to keep people from doing bad things, but sometimes the law is unjust in the context of the situation. And a lot of times when we talk about injustice or bad laws, and the reason people want laws to be reformed is because in a context, the law is actually unjust. Now, maybe it's good overall because in the vast majority of contexts, it does the right thing. And you can also say in corrupt societies, for instance, that laws become more and more unjust and they have more and more loopholes written into them. And the law becomes a form of abuse. I think that we're frankly in that position now in this country. But this isn't the COVID cabal one. But truth is different, right? The law is an approximation of truth. So you can create rules in your relationship. But the reality is that rules are kind of like it's like a half measure. It's a way to try to just give some approximation of boundaries that you should be trying to calibrate and feel out on your own. Like, I don't have any rules about my wife can't hang out with these guys or do this with these people. Like, I don't have any of that stuff because that to me is ridiculous. I think that when you try to put rules in a relationship, you're really just underlining all sorts of problems and issues within the relationship that you're not really addressing. You're trying to create some sort of, lines, or like there's a fire and you're just trying to create like some sort of line, like put some sand down that's hopefully going to break the fire. It's not going to burn up the rest of the stuff. So basically, so yeah, I mean, you need to feel it out. That's the short answer. You need to feel it out because that's where, and that maybe take some trial and error. And maybe she gets upset because you go a bit too far. But I think for a lot of guys who aren't used to expressing their needs or moving forward with things or going after what they want, they need to push it a little bit. They need to push that line a little bit. They need to see what it's like to step over the line until they can find out where the line is. Boundaries are personal. Rules are usually ego-based. Boundaries are based on emotional needs and respect. But I'm going to move to the next question. I'll answer other stuff later. Hi, Pat. Thank you for this and the fire tweets this week. I don't want to spend time with sluts and low-quality women, but how do I get the reps in to get more comfortable with higher-quality women? Due to quarantine here, UK, the only alternative is online, where loads of women I've met 9 and 5 weeks have been trashy, manipulative, and or vulnerable women. I don't want to spend time with them, but I feel compelled to get the reps in to get comfortable with dating again after an 18-month relationship. The best part, this wine segment has inspired me to have a glass of Rioja with my steak tonight. Thanks again. Cheers. Boom. Boom. Okay. So seems to me within this question, there are two different things going on. So out of an 18-month relationship, I don't want to date low quality women. Don't want to date sluts. Also out of an 18-month relationship and feel like I should get reps in. These two different things, right? These are two different programs. Two different programs going on here. Two different programs going on here. On one hand, it's I don't want to go out. I don't want to like I don't want to date these women. I want to do something more high quality. On the other hand, it's like I feel like I have to go out and get reps in. One of these things is a program. It's perfectly okay to get out of an 18-month relationship, especially during this COVID period. It's perfectly okay to do that and to take this time to reflect and, focus on yourself. I'm going to be honest. Look, I don't have any judgment for it. A lot of us have done it. This is some real talk here, okay? It's some real talk. Most people, I'm almost tempted to say everybody. When you get out of a relationship, your instinct shouldn't be to go out and fuck random people, guy or girl. That should not be the instinct that you have. That's a way to try to. It's like when you have a hangover and you take Tylenol, right? It's like when you have a hangover and you take something to try to like some pain reliever, which of course isn't good for your liver, right? We got some like weird fucking comments this time. I'm answering the question, dude. That's what I'm doing. I'm answering the question. You got to feel that pain. You got to feel that pain. You got to feel that pain. You got to allow yourself to process the relationship if you want to jump to something higher. Now, I know people, what often happens is that they get out of a relationship and they'll go and hook up with someone. Then they feel like shit. And then they take some time to themselves to heal. But it's like, I mean, I get it. I have total like empathy for it. I mean, we all learn in our own sort of pace. But like, the reason that this stuff is put out, the reason that we feel like we have to go out and just fuck a bunch of random people after a relationship is because the people giving advice for this are insecure and unhealthy people. They're not in a good place themselves. Their lives suck. Okay. Their lives suck for the most part. And and the whole thing is like, don't feel ashamed. Don't feel ashamed. Everything is don't feel ashamed, which is a complete indication that there's tons and tons of shame. Anyone who says stop shaming me is like, you are ashamed, and everything you are anticipating judgment from everybody around you. And so everything is trying to justify it to try to make yourself feel better, get sympathy. Okay? Anyone who's looking for you like to be healthy will say like, hey, your body is a temple. There's no reason for you to necessarily go and just let somebody else into it. And look, I'm not a dogmatic person here. I do believe that some rebound flings can be healthy and healing. I actually believe that. I've experienced it before. But these things are not, they're more like tier 2 on my system. These aren't like going out and hooking up with strangers. There's something to it of like this other person getting to see at least enough of you to sort of make you feel like, to remind you of who you are. But on a high level, you shouldn't even need that. On a high level, you should be able to give yourself that love. So I guess the whole thing here is take some time off, man. Everybody's taking time off. I mean, I'm working with guys. Some of my clients are out there and they're working with it and they're enjoying it. Others are taking a break. I get it. But this is honestly, for a lot of us, it's going to be a once in a lifetime opportunity to have this level of reflection. I can't even tell you how much transformation on a deep level is going on with people. It is more these last 6 months than I've seen in the last 6 years combined. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this stuff. I'm not doing any scams here. All right, bros. I don't know, by the way, if I got your question. I just throw questions on a sheet. I have no idea. if I answered yours or not. Okay. Hey, Pat, I'm a 20-year-old college student. It's been 4 months since my relationship on and off ended. I met the girl when I was 14, and still my heart beats for her, even though we do not talk anymore. Picked up music and tried to focus on my line of work to try more to forget. However, I'm struggling and would like your expertise on what to do to find peace again. If you could take some time to give me a few words, anything helps. I just want to heal in the right way. I don't know what that looks like. Thank you, and hope you're safe. Bless. All right, brother. All right, brother. I feel you. I feel you. I feel you with this. First one's the hardest, man. My high school girlfriend broke up with me when I was 20. Best thing that ever happened to me. Best thing that ever happened to me. Not because she wasn't a sweet. I mean, she was a beautiful girl. She was nothing against her. Zero things against her. We were very incompatible. Blah blah blah. But best thing that ever happened to me because it broke me out of all these illusions I had about women to an extent, but also really more importantly myself and how I could change and what could, like, the pain was probably greater than anything I ever felt. I mean, I would say I've been in 3 serious relationships in my life and only 2 serious breakups. And the second one was bad. But the first one was really devastating. I mean, the first, what is it, Cat Stevens? The first cut's the deepest, right? I mean, it sucks, man. It sucks. You just got to deal with the pain. Everybody goes through it. Everybody. I mean, maybe there's that small percentage of you guys who married your high school sweetheart. Lucky you. You never have this. I mean, I'm sure you got other stuff that's going to happen. Hopefully not in your relationship. Everybody has their trials. But the pain of a breakup is almost a universal. It is almost a universal. You're never going to have as much of a fantasy projection onto somebody as you will from that first relationship. And so, I mean, dude, it took me like probably a year, certainly 9 months to even like give up the prospect. It took me 9 months to give up the prospect of the relationship not happening again. Okay. And there was residual shit that was going on. Like, I would have residual feelings for her probably for another year, probably until my next girlfriend, if I'm being honest. I can't really remember, but I remember the first 9 months pretty well. She's not that special. hate to say it, she's not that special. Just a girl. You were a boy, she was a girl. You guys were together and you broke up. You're young. You don't have no idea who you are. Neither of you had any idea who you were. And this is your first opportunity to really figure it out. So she's giving you the gift of this pain. I think it was like C.S. Lewis who said something like, it's like pain isn't senseless. Pain is not senseless. It's like, I think the analogy was using a surgeon. Okay, you have a wound and they have to cut off your limb, right? Obviously sucks, hurts to have that cut off. But what is if the surgeon is kind of doing like half measures and he's not really going all the way through with it? Then you're actually getting more pain caused, which is why people, it's like when you break up, like break it off, you know? You have to go back a little bit and figure it out. I get it, but yeah, I mean, you're just causing yourself more pain and you're going to learn from it. So anyway, I guess the long and short of this is that you're just going through a cycle. It's a rite of passage. It is a rite of passage as a man. I genuinely believe this, okay? I believe there are 3 rites of passage as a man. Maybe 4. Okay, we can say 4. The first one is falling in love, right? That's the first one. And connected with that is a breakup. But falling in love is a rite of passage as a man. There's no question about it. Next one is having a kid. Next one is becoming like financially sufficient for yourself, like being able to go out on your own and become financially sufficient. And I connect this with like transcending your parents. It's a rite of passage that you become a man. I think the last one is actually killing something, like killing an animal or a person in war in some legal context. But I do believe that the ability to take life is a very masculine form. And I think that in the past, it was an automatic rite of passage for people who had to kill animals to survive. You had to kill an animal. You had to raise an animal. You had to kill it. But the ability to cause death is, I think, and to be okay with it, not to enjoy it. There's nothing enjoyable about it, but I think that's a rite of passage as a man. So, not advocating murder, not advocating killing people. I'm just saying that there's no question that there is something about this concept in becoming a man. And we can't talk about it because it's too scary to talk about. But one of the reasons that guys are weak today is because they have no conception of living on the edge of life, right? You get some esoteric stuff here, living on the edge of life, the feminine's death, living on the edge of it. Anyway. All right, next one. I'm at the park right now and I see a couple girls I may approach. One is decently cute, the other I don't find so attractive. How do I let the less attractive one down easy? I don't want to shut her out or be mean. If I find both of them attractive, I'd already done the approach. I just don't want to be mean to the one I don't want to be mean to the one I'm not interested in. Okay. Well, the whole thing here is, first, own your desires. But it's pretty important. You don't have to be not liking a girl isn't being a dick to her. We have so much guilt programming around women as guys. You can be kind and considerate to the friend. Actually, a really good tactic is to win her over and to befriend her, to make her feel special. Even as you ask for her permission, as a kind of, oh, can I get your friend's number? That's a favorite line of mine because it works really, really well. It disarms all the obstacles with it. It makes you seem like you want to get her friends can either be your worst enemy or your biggest ally. So any guy who cares about her friends, I'm just going to go for it. Not thinking strategically. Women are way too influenced by their friends. So you need to be okay with going after what you want, but just be kind and complimentary to the friend. In fact, it's a really good way to do some polarization. You can compliment and be kind to the friend who you're not interested in while being more teasing to the attractive one. And that's a good way to play them off each other. And this is a variation of it, right? Focus on the friend. When you're entering a big group, I think actually two sets are the hardest ones to deal with. Big groups are easier because the not attractive friend is almost always going to be more receptive to you. And then you can kind of get into the group and some people can branch off and you can use the one who latches on as a springboard. In a big group though, you don't have to worry about everybody because if you have 4+ people, you're talking to the cute girl, the other two can talk to each other. Two sets are tough because then you're in a situation where the one friend can't be excluded. So you have to, I usually recommend in these situations that you get in enough to befriend the friend and then get the girl's number. I talk about this a lot in my masterclass, by the way. I spend 40 minutes just on this topic of approaching and dealing with all the contingencies. Get the masterclass. All right, next one. Oh, by the way, just a little comment on the masterclass. I'm adding more content to it. I'm adding at least 6 more hours to it. So, and the price is going to go up. So get it now because you'll get the free content when it comes out, probably early October. I'm filming early September, so probably it will be done by then. Can a temporary fling be healthy and not take something from a girl? What's the boxes she needs to check to show she's mature enough to split and not be hurt permanently? Temporary flings can totally be healthy. We actually mentioned earlier in the periscope, right? There's a context for different dynamics. But it's very important for you to understand where is she at? Where's she at? You know, what is she looking for right now? Is she looking for a temporary fling? Is she okay with it? Then you can have it. I think that the trap is if you get involved with a series of flings, one after another, then you're just fucking around. But you know, I think that like I've only had positive things from girls I've been with. So I think that if your energy is high, you can use even like if you manage it properly, you can use these little romances to actually teach women a lot of beautiful things about themselves that they didn't know. Yeah, my kind of limit on it that I found, I think by 3 months, it should be pretty clear. Any relationship with a girl that I continued casually for more than 3 months, I regretted. It was, to me, at that point, abusive. But in that sort of 1 to 3 month period, there was a lot of fun and exploration, and we were able to get intimate. And actually, with some girls, I gotta just say, I think it's a sorry state for how a lot of guys approach women. But a lot of these girls, like, I understood them. They felt understood more than like in relationships of years with guys in just a couple of months, because of the way I kind of probed in. Now, there were negatives to this in the sense that you can really hook a girl if you're not careful. So this is the balance. But you know, it's tough. Well, no, thanks, but I mean, like, but it's the same thing with all of you. Like, all of you guys learning this stuff. I mean, what we're talking about here, like, you guys don't. You guys wanted to go on like a basic. You guys wanted to go on like a basic, you know, game video. You know, I teach you like this one thing you gotta say to her, and then this next thing you gotta do to get her number, and this third thing that's gonna get her in bed with you. I mean, I tell you those 3 things, but we're talking on a higher level here. So yeah, and like, you just follow the stuff, and you really channel that curiosity, and you go deeper. You're gonna, I mean, very few guys do it. Very few guys do it. And I'm just gonna, was on a client call this afternoon, and I just want to mention this because he was asking me about relationships and really deep and powerful relationships, and he was kind of getting a little bit disillusioned because he was watching a lot of this red pill stuff and was feeling like, oh, you know, they're saying that this can't happen. You can't have a, you know, marriage is done if you get to this point, and all the passion dies. People got to think in third position, okay? All women are like that is like saying all salaries are like that. All jobs are like that. My job sucks. All jobs are like that. I don't make any money. All jobs are like that. Checking in, checking out. All jobs are like that. You understand how stupid it sounds if you change the context of it? Do you understand how pathetic that entire mindset is? It's like, I'm going to be as mediocre and average as possible and complain about it all day long. Rather than look and say, hey, well, yeah, most people have this kind of crappy 9 to 5 and everything sucks and is stupid and I feel terrible. And I'm not trashing 9 to 5. Some people love their 9 to 5. Some jobs are great. You know, understand what I'm doing here, though. I'm making some generalization of drudgery, work drudgery. That's routine. Okay. You want to break out of that? What do you do? Do you go ask that guy, how do I break out of this? He'll say he doesn't know how. He'll say he can't do it. But if you go and you talk to like a millionaire, if you talk to somebody who's created like a top 5% lifestyle, they're going to laugh at all the kind of assumptions that the average person has. Right? Like, if you want to have an elite relationship, you follow people who are trying to create and have elite relationships. There's always a way to get to that point. You want to have a deep, passionate relationship, you can get there. But don't expect the path to be like propagandized to you. Don't expect it to be easy. You're looking for something that's in the top 5%. You're not a statistic. You're an individual who can create his own destiny. So this whole thing like that it's just victimhood. It's like so helpless and pathetic. I have no control. I'm just a statistic. I'm just a statistic. Well, if you think you're a statistic, you're a fucking statistic. That's it. You think your life is as basic as whatever you're given is what you get, then that is exactly what's going to happen. You can go read some blog and jerk yourself off all day to your misery, whereas other people are actually going to figure it out, and they're going to have a great time. You're going to have a great life. Your choice. Pat, I was hoping if you could go over how to keep a conversation going on first dates. I'm having trouble finding topics to talk about on dates, and when we initially start texting, would appreciate greatly. Thank you. Well, you know that that old adage, if you're bored, you're boring. I'm not saying you're boring. What I'm saying is that you should probably consider the fact that you should stop thinking about what you should say and start to be interested. Questions game, yeah, that's a tactic, but it's a tactic that's just a distillation of it. I mean, my biggest problem with dating was all the stuff with the approach. That was my hardest thing. It was overcoming the initial sense that I didn't know if a girl was interested in me or not. After that, it became a lot easier. There are still things I had to figure out. Like, don't get me wrong, it wasn't natural. I was making a lot of mistakes, but what I always had natural was that I was always curious in the other person. During the most anxious periods of my life, around pretty women, I would default to small talk. I would default to safe questions, which are boring, right? All you have to do, really, I mean, I want to say all you have to do, but the thing that people are missing is curiosity, right? Be curious. Be curious. Share what you're excited about, like someone said here. Share what you're excited about. Be curious. Bring that energy, bring that vibe to the equation. Try to make everything seem like an adventure. Like your life is going to be an adventure. And you are wondering about her. Who is she? When you ask questions, you're not asking like, oh, so you work at you work at a hospital. Oh, that's cool. What do you do at the hospital? Oh, you're a nurse. Oh, that's cool. Oh, so, is it difficult there? Oh, yeah, long hours. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that must be tough. So why'd you want to be a nurse? Oh, your aunt was a nurse. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's fucking boring. It's fucking boring. Boring. Can you listen to that and not want to blow your brains out? It's nothing to do with like what kind of game thing you know. You are asking the most boring fucking questions in the world. So be like, you seem like you really care about people, but you have this sort of like intellectual aspect to you. Is that why you'd want to become a nurse? Well, no, actually, I always did find this stuff interesting, but my aunt was a nurse. Oh, so like, was your aunt kind of like, sometimes you have like an aunt who you're not close to. Sometimes you have an aunt who you feel really connected with. Was like this aunt sort of like, I'm for instance, my sisters are much older than me. So my sisters were in some ways were almost kind of like an aunt. So like, what was your relationship with her that she was able to inspire you so much? Like, you feel the difference in that? Like you were getting to her heart when you had that stuff. And I didn't script this. I didn't script any of this stuff. It's just like you feel it. Do you actually care about the person across from you? If you don't care about them, then how are you fucking going to attract them? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Yeah, there's different steps. You need to know when to escalate. You need to know when to pull back. But on a fundamental level, do you even care about that person? No problem with conversation if you care about the person. Promise you that. All right, next one. Hey, Pat, I want to keep this short and sweet. I'm a huge fan of your work, and in particular, how you give red pill real depth and breadth to not only attract, but sustain a very meaningful relationship. Red pill stuff combined with your work have given me great results, but I'm having a bit of trouble balancing out the lovey-dovey emotions of love and affection with the red pill stuff and female psychology end of things. The balance, as you mentioned, between comfort, desire, trust, tension. I tend to overgame at times when I don't have to, and it comes across as artificial. Any tips, articles, how to balance the emotional side of love while keeping the red pill attraction, desire-based things alive simultaneously? Is this guy trying to reveal my book? Is that what he's trying to do? Is he trying to share my book ideas? Is he trying to ask me to reveal the top secret material in my upcoming book? Is that what he's trying to do? Okay. There's some other stuff here, but I'm just gonna focus on this. Well, guys, you know, I'm writing it. I'm writing it every day, but I'm not writing as much as I should be writing. I would love to get the writing done by October 1st. I can do editing in October, but I know I have a creative window right now. The book has to be released by Thanksgiving. It has to be released by Thanksgiving. So I have a hard deadline of that. Got a baby coming within a month of that date. So it's got to be done. It's context, okay? This is context. It's context. And it also depends on your energy level. So the more love you legitimately feel and can express, the more you can be lovey-dovey. The more pain you have, the more you're going to feel the impulse to get short-term results, to be more protective, and to focus more on game and psychology and stuff. This is really difficult for people to understand who aren't really initiated into it. That's why I'm writing the book. But the game is constantly different as you go up. It's constantly different. You can't, if you're in a state of absolute pain and fear and you're getting none of your needs met, going and saying and trying to go out and express your feelings, you're going to get fucked over. You're going to get ruined. You're going to get ruined. You haven't progressed enough through the cycle. That's all I'm going to say right now. I don't want to give too much, but the question is a really good question because it is arguably the question. It is arguably the question in my perspective. And it's why you have to be really discerning. It's why some people are drawn to one guru versus another, because some guy, Rollo Tomasi, will help you get from fear to anger. He'll help you to get from resentment to anger. He'll do that. He'll do that for you. He'll move you up there. He won't get you past that, but he'll get you there. Which is why I think that there's something to be said about moving through gurus over time. And Ben, yeah, I did see the Tommy Lahren rant, and I wish, I could be so good at marketing that I could have had it done today. I wrote 2/3 of it, couldn't finish it. I got way too much shit. I had so many client calls today. So I was not able to finish it, unfortunately. Was not able to finish it, but Ricky. It will be done tomorrow, though. I was gonna make it into an email, but it's better as a blog post. Better as a blog post. It should have been out today, but whatever. You just do it. You just do what you can. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. But yeah, Tommy has a nose ring. That was a little addition recently. Good old Tommy. Good old Tommy Laren. Anyway, we got one more question here before maybe I take some of yours and close this up. I'm 22, been romantically involved with this girl for a while. We used to date. We're not dating anymore, but we still can't keep our hands off each other when, for example, meeting for coffee. My problem is that I'm slowly losing frame in the relationship. I'm sure of this, and I believe it's because I'm just too damn attracted to her. She really is, in my opinion, drop dead gorgeous, but I want my behavior to subcommunicate abundance, high value, etc. When I get around her and we start flirting, my libido takes control, and I cannot, for the life of me, resist putting my hands on her. What's worse is that I'd say she knows it too. Most of my sexual thoughts involve her. I'm losing frame. How do I get control over myself? Why did you guys stop dating? What happened? What happened? I mean, obviously you guys have chemistry here, and we can't keep our hands off each other. I mean, why did you stop dating? Did you get needy and she broke things off, but she's still there? I mean, dude, she's interested. She's interested in you. You're losing frame because you're you're not setting enough boundaries and you're not taking it. Um, you're not leveraging it enough. But I don't understand why you guys are that attracted to each other, not together. Reminds me of my first girlfriend, actually. True point here. I don't want to go through the whole story, actually. I don't want to go through the whole story. But let's just say that I'm teasing you guys. Look at that. I'm teasing you. Let's just say that with my first girlfriend, I knew when we broke up, because we were together for a bit and then we broke up. And then we were friends, and we were like friends with benefits. And then out of the blue, really was shocking to me. I knew she had kind of liked this guy. I knew that they were kind of friends, but we were like, we were hooking up. I mean, we were making out, Neither of us had sex at that point, although we were each other's first. So there's that. But at that point, we were just making out, going for walks and eating ice cream and making out, all the high school stuff. And one day, literally, after we had come from one of these walks, she said that they had talked and now they're going out. And he was like, whoa, fuck. Whoa, fuck. Like, I was not expecting that. But I played it cool. I was like, cool, I'm happy for you. It was like that meme, like the meme where the person's like, but I was cool with it. And, internet alphas would say that was beta, but I had a plan. I wasn't done here. I was, it's called tactical retreat. Okay, tactical retreat. And so I pulled back a bit. We were still friends. We'd still chat. I'd still flirt with her. We'd see each other in the halls and stuff like that. Chat on AIM. You guys know AIM? Remember AIM? Okay. And, we go on every couple of weeks, I'd take her out and we just have tons of fun together. That was all we did. We just had tons of fun. And then after about 3 months of this, and I kind of saw her relationship was stagnant. He was a dork. He didn't really get what was going on. And I basically told her, I said, hey, look, I still have all these feelings for you. And I know you're with him, but just saying, like, if we either have to go out or we can't be friends anymore. We either have to go out or we can't talk anymore. And so I waited for the exact leverage point where I knew that their relationship wasn't strong enough. And I knew that our connection was really good. And I had no game awareness whatsoever at this point. Zero game awareness. I was just like, I have to do this because I can't press this any longer. She broke up with him that night, and we went out for that point 2.5 years after that. I mean, we were together in total about 4 years. About 4 years we were together. But we had a gap 2.5 years from that point onward. So the point is that I tell you this half of the story. There's not a whole half. It's so funny. But I won't tell you that. I won't tell you guys that now. Maybe another time. it was, yeah. So you guys are just making up reasons. I'm assuming that you're the person who sent me this because I don't have any recollection of who sends me things for the most part. But if this is the, it sounds like this is the, you know, economist fit. Yeah. All right. Cool. Cool. So this is your situation. So cool. We got a little bit of feedback here, a little real time. Look, guys. I mean, this is you agree that you're two need dependent on one another. You have feelings for each other. That's what's going on here. Pull back a bit. Pull back a bit. And if there's and pull back a bit, she's gonna come more towards you. And I mean, I'm you know, I don't want. I'm giving based on what I kind of see right here. Okay, but pull back a bit. Let her come more towards you, and then explain that by basically saying like, I still have feelings for you. I think I don't think we can be friends. You could do a similar kind of playbook as I did. I think that I'm just going to tell you very bluntly, though, you guys have enormous chemistry. It's a tier 1 dynamic. You just don't throw that shit away. Just don't jerk your dick off to this like, I don't know, we have to work on ourselves before we can be together. You have that kind of level of chemistry. It's very, very serious. It's a very, very serious level of chemistry. Get together, work on it within the relationship. Hey, probably you guys won't work out. Probably you won't work out. Maybe you will. But you have to see it through. You have to just do it. You have to just go through it. You have to get some kind of clarity on what is happening. So you can either move on from it, you can learn from it. Well, if it's degenerated into a frame battle, the easy answer is to pull back. That's it. I mean, you just pull back. Let her come to you. That's it. And then she comes to you, and then you can be a little bit dismissive. You can be a little cool, and then she might say something about it, right? And then that's when you broach the topic. You can even call out the fact that you have a frame battle, right? This is actually important. Like when you find yourself getting into a game trap, when she comes to you, you can even say, look, I mean, I actually think that we're just playing games with each other, and I think we really like each other. That was my second girlfriend. Worked like a charm. All right, let me see what other questions we got here. I skipped some of you guys.